Blunt Cuts is a podcast fueled by creativity, curiosity, and empowerment.
We cut through the daily mess of life. This is unfiltered honesty.
Park your passive at the door. This is Blunt Cuts. Welcome to the studio, Kylee Leonetti, local creative, entrepreneur, and mother. Welcome, Kylee.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, we are so excited to have you. I know that when I saw the first girl creative post pop up in my Instagram, I was like, I need to know her. I need to know what is going on. I'm all about women in the Twin Cities and women in general, and really want to be involved with everyone else out there supporting each other. And you have really cemented yourself in this community. And yes, thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do.
Well, that means a lot, because I don't know if it's Minnesota syndrome, but I always feel like I'm still kind of an outsider. I don't know what that is, but I said this at the last Girl Creative event. We talked about belonging, and I was like, who's in this room and still, even though you're here, doesn't quite feel like you belong? And I raised my own hand. I was like, all right, we're in this together. So I thank you for saying that. I feel like it's an ongoing process of belonging.
It is. I think as women in general, we want to make sure that it's okay for us to be somewhere and just be. Like, it's okay to be and be you.
And take up space being there.
And take up space. So, yes, absolutely. So I really am excited. Today we are going to talk all about motherhood and raising strong women and what it means to be strong women and surround ourselves by strong women. And Kylee is a mother, as am I, of daughters. So talk to me a little bit, Kylee, about how you feel about raising a strong woman, as I'm sure you have some great opinions on that.
Well, I think the fun and challenging part of raising a strong woman is raising a strong woman. So I have a lot of sympathy for my mother now, but I do find that I look in the mirror sometimes and I think, okay, I just said something that my mother said to me. So maybe we're on a good path. But I think with raising a strong woman, it obviously starts with you. And so when I was thinking about this question and how to approach it, I thought, I think the biggest thing in raising a strong woman is walking the walk. So if you're going to say something to your daughter or to a young woman in your life that women can do anything, women can be anything, how are you modeling that? How are you showing them that, and it's not for everyone to go out and start a bunch of companies. So my background, I have 3 companies that are keeping me very busy right now. I have a production company with my husband, and that's Lola's stepdad. And so she gets to see us working together, and she comes on set a lot with us. And she also sees me run another company where I work specifically with women in addiction treatment. So she has seen me go from kind of, having one company and thinking I had a lot going on to now I feel like I'm constantly behind and I constantly have too much going on. And just kind of staying strong in those moments is how I walk it out for her. I say, all right, I did this to myself. I took on a lot, and I'm not going to sit here and complain about that. I'm going to walk the walk. And what does that look like today? And I guess I didn't realize how much that had impacted her until I started seeing her approach her days differently. No 2 days are the same. That's kind of our family motto / life motto.
It's pretty much a life motto over here too.
No 2 days are ever alike. And so we have to figure out the strength we need for that day. Not for tomorrow, not for yesterday, but what does today need? And so I am constantly trying, and I hope achieving, at walking that out for her so she has an example of what it looks like. And I think that's easy for anyone to do if they have young women in their life.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. I mean, I would align with you there too. Busy, always doing multiple businesses as well as, full-time careers.
And loving it.
For companies and loving it. And, I think that there have been times in which the first memory I have of Ava realizing that her mom was a hustler was when she was 2 and she was at my laptop, could barely complete sentences and was like, I'm working, I'm really busy right now. And I'm like, well, yes, you've probably heard that come out of my mouth.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, and that was one of those moments where I'm like, well, this is a teachable moment, right? Like, this is an opportunity for me. She's teaching me something. She's giving me this feedback that I've clearly either said that to her father or to her or inadvertently to myself, because let's be honest, most entrepreneurs are constantly having conference meetings with themselves out loud. This is true. So that was kind of a shift for me. And I was like, I really need, if I'm going to be doing this, and I'm raising a child. And I mean, she would go to daycare. Like, I never really had her at home all the time when I was working, but she saw it. She saw my nights. She saw my photo shoot hustling. She saw me loading car after car, wondering, schlepping, the life. And so I just kind of started making her a part of it, shine the shoes. Here's a little brush. Like, here's how can you start being a part of it? And I think she just sees how passionate I am and how excited I am to like do these projects, and that I'm not stopping,
and that you want,
and it's
to
a
be
happier
there.
Me,
yes,
when I'm doing those things. So I'm starting to see her see that shift a little bit. When I'm not there, it's because like I'm out being happy, and I want her to do the same.
And it's not a guilt thing. I have some very well-intentioned women in my life who will make a comment every so often about, well, don't you feel guilty? Well, don't you feel bad? And I kind of want to turn the question around and say, well, do you think I should feel bad for being in Santa Ana for a week working, making money for my family at one of the jobs I do? Do you think I should feel bad? And are you also a little jealous that I got out of Minnesota in the winter? But I'm jealous of you if you did. Yes, I know. But I think that guilt comes into play when we don't let ourselves be our fullest expression. When we tell ourselves this life that we are doing is something that we did not choose, but we did. I did choose this. You did stack your plate full intentionally with purpose and with a great purpose. And that's really good for our daughters to see.
Absolutely. And I think back to my mother, and my mom was a single mom raising me. My dad was around, but inadvertently kind of every other weekend, and he wasn't the sole raiser and provider for us kids, right? So I had a brother and myself. And my mom worked a lot, but she was never happy. And that's something I noticed as a young child. Like, she didn't have a college degree. She started one and then ended up leaving a program and never went back and finished. So she found kind of love in cooking. Like, that's what she does. So she worked at a restaurant within a grocery chain, and she worked like bartending as well. But she would come home just like not willing to kind of speak up for herself at work, but frustrated with management. I mean, things that I remember even in middle school years. Like, I understand, like, so I learned from my mom that, A, you're working really hard and you're a hustler. So I learned my work ethic from my mom. Absolutely. 100%. And she's always the most positive person in that perspective of like, nothing's for me. Like, she never bought herself anything. It was always us first. But I learned from her, like, sometimes it's okay to like speak up. And I think I helped my mom speak up in some scenarios. And like, I didn't get that necessarily from her. I got that from her not speaking up. And I was like, but you can and you should. And so I remember as a young girl being like, Mom, but just tell them you want something different. Like,
right.
Advocate
for yourself.
Like, and I know that that's generational. Yes. And I know that my grandmother would have never like stepped up for herself. But there was this backhanded, like, she would complain, and I'm always like, how can I fix it? And that's been who I am. And I was born that way. Like, absolutely. Like, how can I problem solve this?
Yes.
Make it work, make it better, make it more efficient, and like make it matter. So,
well, that's a skill set, I think, that helps you not complain about a life that, again, most of us are living lives that we designed, whether we intentionally designed them or we let them happen. And so if this is a job that I can change, how can I change it? Like, to what you said, how can I make a change? How can I make a difference in the situation so I don't have to complain about it? Because often in that complaint, there is a solution. There's speaking up for yourself. Or for me, I realized how often I was saying I had to go to a shoot. I have to go to the office. I have to go to the studio. And I don't have to. I actually don't. I really could go get a job somewhere else doing something different. And so if I want Lola to say things, and she's 11, and so this is prime complainer age. If I want her to see her circumstances as within her control, then I have to model that mine are too. That today I decided I'm going to go and work at the studio for 4 hours today. Would you like to come along, or would you like to stay home? And she's old enough to stay home alone. You have that to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. We have 9 and 6, so it's I can see it on the horizon.
Yep.
So it's coming. But yeah, I just see the progression of this matriarch, right? So I see my grandmother and my mom who like wanted to, and like in instances she was strong and like killed him with kindness, right? And then I see this craziness that happened with my personality out of that. And I'm like, wow, what's going to happen with Ava? Like the fact that I'm so open, we bring her into our lives as adults. And I don't think my parents really necessarily did. I didn't know a lot of the adult stuff until, I was old enough where my mom, it was her and us. Like sometimes she needed to confide in like her kids because that's who she had at night,
Yes.
So, but her doing that made it okay and open for me to go to her. So I've been an open book to my children, sometimes a little too much when they come home with like language choices at school or some colored content that other parents are like, oh. So usually it's my child.
We're that kid too. The one who knows the swears. But, I think that for me, my daughter has been a true north. Also, it's been, having a relationship like this has been a way of instilling a true north compass in me, which is interesting. My grandma is actually from the true north, so the North Shore, right on the border of, Minnesota and Canada. And Lola is so much like my grandmother, just the grit and the resilience. And you have to have so much of both of those things to live somewhere where there's more snow than anywhere else. And I sometimes look at her and the things she says to me, I'm like, Grandma, that's you in there, Grandma Lola. But she is definitely a compass. And I've been able to measure some of the decisions in my life around that relationship. So if something is important to me, why is it important to me? Is it important to me because it will win me cool points? So this is a topic that comes up a lot. There's a lot going on all the time. And are you on camp FOMO, which is fear of missing out, or on camp JOMO, which is the joy of missing out? And I feel like there's space for both, but you have to have a bar at which you measure things against. So if something is important to you, like why is it important? Does it align with your values? Or is it just something you feel like you're going to be missing out on in other people's opinion by not being there for? So I usually, when I'm invited to do something, I ask myself like, okay, first of all, like what will I do with Lola? That's just every mom would ask.
Of course. Yeah. I think parenting does give you that extra, like you said. Our children can be our compass, but they're also one of the logistical things in the world of mother entrepreneurs we've just got to sort out.
Right. And I think that sometimes when it's like, okay, she'll be taken care of and it'll be fine, I still need to ask myself, is it moving me forward in the ways that I feel align with my values? And there was an example a couple years ago. I had never been to I Am Minneapolis, and that's a really cool kid event. And I think it's a really great event. My friend Sarah puts it on. That's
absolutely
amazing, right? I just never gone. And there was a year where it had sold out and, everyone was talking on Twitter about how they wanted to go. And I threw a tweet in the mix just because that said would love to be there. Sure enough, a few people slid into my DMs with free tickets. And one of them was someone who I had wanted to hang out with forever. I'm like, this is a Twitter friend who I'd love to be real life friends with. This would be amazing. So I made the plan. I'm like, I'm going to go. I am Minneapolis. It's sold out. This is amazing. And my daughter got off the bus that day with the biggest smile on her face because she had won Citizen of the Month at school.
Oh, that's
that
amazing.
Day. And I was like, I was going to have to start getting ready fairly quickly. We have a late start school, so she's in school till 4:30. And so I was like, I love this. This is awesome. This is great. Cool certificate. We'll laminate that. I'm just going to go. And then I looked at her, and she did not give me any indication that she would be upset if I didn't stay home or that she wanted me to or anything. But I just looked at her, and I thought, let's go get some macarons. Let's go hang out at home and let's just be together tonight. You won Citizen of the Month at school. That is the coolest kid thing I've ever heard of. And it just coincides with my plans. It's fine. It's fine. And sure enough, it was fine. And no one died. Someone else got the tickets that were offered to me. And I got to go to I Am Minneapolis later. But it was just one of those moments where I think a lot of other people, especially if they don't have young, impressionable women in their life, might have looked at that and thought that was, a mistake on my part because I was offered. It was a really cool event and I was invited to go and I could just make it work, but I couldn't make it work because my true north alignment was telling me something different. Well, and it's a great way to measure too, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. Why am I so excited about this? Why? And certainly if it was something that it was a work thing or something like that and I couldn't get out of it, I wouldn't look at my daughter and feel bad for going. But so much of what we choose to do is optional. So much of what we choose to do is also out of a different motive than maybe what our heart aligns with. And I know I am very guilty of looking online and seeing how many people are doing so many cool things. And I'm working on the joy of missing out and I'm more inclined to feel the fear. And that's just my personality. And I do love having that kind of, not excuse, that's a bad word for it, but she teaches me a lot about what's important. So one of the things that people love to see on my social media is the way I tell them what Lola says. I haven't shared this one yet, so I'll share it here first. But recently Lola was bullied pretty badly at school. She came back from break and someone had carved a really derogatory slur into her chair where she always sits. And she came home and she's 11. And so, she's pretty brave-faced, but she told me about it. And she goes, "Isn't that sad?" And I said, "Oh, honey." And I kind of launched right into my usual canon of, you're not what they said you are. You're amazing. You're wonderful head to toe. You're perfect to me. I think you're fantastic. You're so funny and smart. And she stopped me and she said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm not sad. It's really sad because when someone makes fun of you, that means they're in a really bad place."
Wow, that's so insightful for 11.
For 11, I thought, I cannot believe you're taking this situation where you were attacked, verbally attacked, and someone carved something into your chair that you have to live with for the rest of the year unless they replace it. And you're going to come home and say it's sad on them. And I thought, okay, that's the resolve I need. That's what I have to do when something turns out to be, we all have had a situation where somebody's not who we thought they were, or who they are definitely proving themselves to be a jerk when you thought they were your friend. And for me to be able to look at something like that and say it's really sad for them because that means that their heart is in a yucky place. That means their mind is in a muck and has nothing to do with me. Like that separateness, I want that. That's what I want in my life.
Wow. I think our kids can teach us a ton, right? We had a bullying situation with Ava, and this was a text messaging through like iMessage and like a video game that she plays online with friends. And it was a neighbor girl. And it was one of those things that when we opened Ava up, she's 9. When we opened her up to online gaming, when we opened her up to, okay, you have a tablet and you can message people. Here's kind of the rules. Mommy will read them. Daddy will read them. We're part of that. But here's the rules too. Like if mommy's on Instagram and I'm looking at stuff, you can look with me. So it wasn't done out of a like, fear me, I'm going to look at your life. It was done of, online life has a lot of things. There are some things for adults, there are some things for kids, and there are some things where we both are going to experience feelings that you can see right alongside me. So that's kind of how we instituted the life. She doesn't yet have social media, not really going there. She wants a YouTube because I think every 9-year-old wants to be a YouTube star.
That is the goal, right?
So we're not quite there yet, but eventually she'll probably make me carve on that because she is so creative and like would probably make really fun content that even I would enjoy watching. So
cute.
Nonetheless, but she had this morning where we have kind of a limit time-wise. 7 o'clock, iPads are off. For all of us, like we take the time, they go to bed. I might go back on my phone after the kids are in bed, but we have like this family time and electronics go off, right? So her electronic had gone off and she woke up the next morning to 40 text messages from the neighbor girl saying, do you hate me? What if my leg was broken? What if my dog had died? Why aren't you getting back to me? You're just a bad friend. So Ava woke up, checked her tablet in the morning after breakfast, and came to me. And she's like, I'm so sad. Like, it's our rule of time. And this girl knows, because I'm very upfront with, like, curfews and times. And, like, everyone else thinks I have too many rules. But nonetheless.
Same.
But nonetheless, like, we have a lot of freedom, too, you know. So anyway. So we brought this up, and I brought this up to the mother of the girl, and I said, hey, come over tonight. We'll do wine, but I want to sit down with the girls. Like, I want to sit down with them and discuss this. And the mom was surprised. She had no idea her daughter could even send a text message. So, and she is 12. So, kind of one of those points where I'm like, okay, this is a great time to just talk about all of that. And like, we've been super open with internet pledges and things like that with our kids, but not every parent or woman is. Mom
and they
is,
don't know that they need to. I think that for me, I was really in the dark until Lola told me, hey, my friends are, they were using apps that they could message in a long time ago. So I had to get hip to. I didn't know either.
No, so that's just part of it, right? So it's part of their culture. It's part of ours. We just have to kind of be on top of it. So raising strong young women will sometimes result in like these, they want to be strong socially and online too, right? So it was a great talk. Like, girls like came to a resolution. I took a lot of the like, hey, the time limit is my thing. So, but either way, I don't want you girls who love each other to hurt each other this way.
No.
Because there's too much of that in our world, and I don't ever do that. I wouldn't do that to your mom. Like, I don't want other moms to do that to me. But I was also very real with him. Like, it happens.
Yes.
And this will continue to happen. But please don't do it with the ones you love. Like, don't do it at all. But certainly not the ones that you love and support and that are, your people and your, like.
Gonna take care of your people.
Like, let's just please try to not make assumptions that the other person is trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
But really listen to them and take some time. And not everything has to be so instant. And that's their life. Everything is instant. That's what they've always experienced. Everything is there. And I think that me being on that cusp of millennial, like, I have lived without the internet and I've had the internet. Exactly. And I've lived in where you can wait for concept boards to come out of creative direction and hand drawn. And I've had somebody expect a storyboard overnight, right? Like,
yes.
So I've lived in those worlds professionally and personally. So taking time is something that, like, I pride myself in, like, teaching my daughter that sometimes it's okay to breathe, step away.
And put in the work.
Take the time.
Yes.
Yeah, put in the work, make it the right thing. Let people know, hey, I need more time on that. Like, I let her teachers know if she feels she needs more time to do something, or, like, I'm like, hey, you stand up, like, you do the thing, because that, like, sometimes we have these unreasonable expectations on us. So I think that's part of being a strong woman, is realizing when too much is too much, right?
And it starts so young. And I think the other thing that this instant age can give us is the sense that people who have achieved something, it happened either overnight or without the same struggle, toil, and hardship that other people who've built things since the dawn of time experienced. So for us, we're an entertainment family. That's, my husband's a filmmaker, and Lola is, she shoots, she does short films, and she also acts. And so with acting, there's obviously auditioning. And that was something that, we had to really prime her on, which was, you're going to go on dozens, if not hundreds of auditions and land one role. And that's okay. They wouldn't call you to see you if they didn't already think that you were talented enough to be there. And I guess this also in my life, with running a company we're not a nonprofit at Leonetti Confetti, but we don't make a profit. So we're always applying for grants. And I will see these grants come up that are just perfect for us. And, we're a shoo-in, and I apply, and someone I know will get the grant instead of me, or we just don't get them. And we do receive grant money, and it's not like we hear no more than yes, but I have to watch that I really am walking this out too. And so not that long ago, Lola had it would have been a crappy week for me, but she lost an audition, and then she also lost a spot on the traveling soccer team. And this all happened within like a 3-day window. And, I'm going to be honest, I was pretty bummed for her, because I'm like, this is, next level soccer. This is an audition for a gig that you really want. But I think I took it much harder than she did. So I actually took her out for a walk and tried to make it a thing, and was like, we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to bring my camera and take some pictures of you, because I know you like that. And also because, we're going to just make this a positive thing. And we're walking, and we're in this alley by our house. And she goes, you know what though? I'm really happy for whoever the kid is that got the part. It was a really fun audition. And also, I know that Ava got a place on the soccer team, and she's going to have a really good summer. And I just started crying. I was like, how are you so sage? How are you so smart? And all of us are trying to be happy for each other when we're dying inside. And here I thought you'd be dying inside. And the opposite is true. You're thriving. You're so happy for your friends. And I guess to me, the biggest lesson of walking it out is seeing that the person closest to me who I'm trying to have an influence of some kind for good on is walking it out, that she's not mad at her friend for getting a spot on this traveling soccer team when those those tryouts were really, really hard, and the audition. She's sitting here going, I can't wait to see that Target ad come out and see which, I'm just going to tell you the term they used to describe her, racially ambiguous child got the cover instead of me, because my daughter's half Mexican. And so she goes out for, Pacific Islander roles and all kinds of beautiful ethnicities that she is not. But she was happy for whoever got it. She's like, I can't wait to see which kid they picked. And I wonder if I auditioned with them. And I just wanted to take that lesson in my own life and be happy for my friends when they get the grant, happy for my friends when they get the feature or, the spotlight, because there's enough negativity out there about people succeeding, and we have to cheer for each other, and that starts with walking it out.
I have to check in with that. I have to check in with my life goals and my purposes, and my purpose is to support others, and I want to make sure I'm walking that. And the moment I feel myself feeling bad for myself, I gotta squish it, And
there's always someone, I feel like, because success is a ladder, and unfortunately, people who get to the top sometimes forget about the people that they didn't come up with. But since success is a ladder, there's always someone who's further along than you or not even on the first tier. And so when I'm feeling bad for myself, I try to remember when I wasn't even touching the ladder with a finger, when I was still like further than I wanted to be from the ladder of success. And so I try to think about that and say, like, where I am today is a daydream for the girl who used to think about the ladder and be like, how will I get anywhere near it? How will I even touch it? How will I even scale the first step?
How can I get in the door to look at the ladders of where they are?
I mean,
I've
heard of a ladder. Yes. And so for me, I'm like, when I get to the top or wherever the top is, because I'm sure it just keeps adding slots. But when I get closer to the end, I want to be able to help people who can't fathom the ladder, who can't even picture it, who've never heard of a ladder, who are like, what does this look like? Because that's what we're here for, right?
I couldn't agree more. And that's like we align so closely on that. And I think being a female leader, I have had some really crappy female leaders in my life, and I will not. Anytime I'm recognized, my team is right there. Anything I can do to make sure to give someone the time they need to develop something out versus being super critical. I really work hard on that and work hard for those who I know are so hungry, because there is so much opportunity. And if I can help someone by showing them my mistakes and, fails along the way, like here, I'm an open book. Ask me anything.
And I love that you said that. You didn't say that I can help people by gleaning, my knowledge to them and all of my wisdom. You said, look at my failures. Look at
a lot of ways.
Yes, looking at every successful woman we know at their failures will tell us a lot more about how they lead than their successes, because everyone sees the success. Nobody sees the mess. And I'm trying to live in the mess more and not tidy it or tie it with a bow. I'm really struggling right now with false positivity. I'm sure you've heard of this movement.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to sit with things versus button them up and tidy them. And that to me has been probably the biggest lesson is my successes tell you jack shit about me. Look at what I have failed at. Look at what I have tried and fallen flat at. And that is going to tell you a lot more about where I land on things that matter.
So to all of you out there raising women or just women yourselves in general, young girls are watching. And, we have a lot of change and movement we can make in our generation, but I really do believe like the generation upcoming is where we can spend some great time and energy to lead and show and like I said, fail forward and vocally to our children and really help guide them. And that's one of my biggest lessons learned, in these past few years. The more honest and open I am about the things that are troubling me or that I'm struggling through, the more support and energy and guidance and power and light that has come my way.
Yes.
And that's incredible.
It's like when I feel like I don't have a seat at the table, the chair rises to meet me, because acknowledging that I feel that way is a huge step, right? It's like that first admission that we don't have all of our shit together. But I think for me, when I think about what a lesson that someone could take away from this would be, is just that try to align what you're saying with what you actually do. There's so much disconnect with what we say versus the life we actually walk out. We can say we want more connection. We can say we want more genuine. But are we still living our entire lives online and reading the comments? Are we, we say, like I said, women can do anything, but then we live in lives that we don't feel that way. And so I think walking it out is just about aligning what you say with what you do. And so much of us, or so many of us will say things that really are wonderful and really do matter, but our day-to-day lives don't mirror that. And so for me, that's been the biggest change in my life, is when I said, okay, I really do believe this. Crap. Now I have to really start walking it out. And I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning and complain about my life. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning and say we have to. It's a get to. We just get to. It's It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be physically here, but also in a place where we're talking about this. This is the kind of thing where I would never have said, I have to go to a podcast today. I'd say, I get to go talk about what it's like to raise a strong woman and how it's raised me and how raising her has actually raised up a greatness that I didn't know I had inside of me.
That was another point that I was going to end on. I think I have become stronger by raising a strong woman, and that is incredible. And yeah, I'm currently raising another strong woman from the inside. So, yeah.
And it's so specific to
So
women
cool.
that it doesn't have to be the mother relationship with women. It can be also, I think you said something in the beginning of this where when you're around impressionable young women, how do you perform? How do you not perform, but what do you put out there? How do you put yourself out there so that they know, okay, this is the real deal and it's not something being sold to me? Like, how can you be genuine in everything
And
you
what
do?
can we learn from the Lolas of the world who can just face that adversity and come around a corner that you would have tried to get her to through some guidance, but she was already there.
She was like 10 steps ahead of me, and I'm like trying to bring her down. And she's like, Mom, I'm over that. Okay, Ava got a spot. I didn't. It's okay.
Well, yes, to raising more amazing Lolas. And my daughter's name is Ava. So, and Ava.
Love that. that was on the name list for Lola too. I love the name Ava. It's a good one.
So great. Well, thank you, Kylee, so much for hanging out with us. Everyone, please follow Kylee Leonetti. Where can everyone follow you?
Well, thank you for having me. You can find me a few different places. First up, I am obsessed with my newest company, Leonetti Confetti. If you start typing Leonetti, it should come up on any social media platform. I also can be found at girl.creativemsp on Instagram. We do semi-regular hangouts for women in the Twin Cities there, and then also under Kylee and Christian Creative.
Awesome. And let's continue the conversation on Instagram. Let us know how you are raising strong women. Please find us at Blunt Cuts Podcast.